Hello, it is Throwback Thursday, June 27th, 2019. Steve Sipress here. Is another gorgeous sunset. Takes place behind me over the mountains on this beautiful summer day here in paradise. Hope it's great where you are as well. We're only in the mid 100s today, around 105. Extremely pleasant this time of night. I think it's only around 100 now with a little bit of breeze, no humidity. It's spectacular. And so wish you were here. Anyway, Throwback Thursday, I love this show, America's Got Talent. And, of course, not because of the show, because it's all marketing. The entire show is all kinds of lessons in marketing. Now, by the way, in case I forget to mention it later, you want help with how to put this stuff to use in your business that I'm about to discuss, especially the main feature of today's video. A lot of business owners always tell me, it's got nothing to do with me. Well, it does, and I'm an expert in putting this to use for business owners. It's one of the biggest things I've done over the years. You just go to helpfromsteve.com and I'll help you out with this anyway. So it's ostensibly a talent show, but of course it's all about marketing. And so my beautiful wife Michelle and I have been watching the show. I'm sure not as if like we watch every episode or anything, but we've probably seen it ever since it first came on, 10, 15 years ago, with Simon Cowell, who's a master marketer. We used to watch him on the American Idol show, which also we didn't watch every season of that thing, but all about marketing. The show will have, sponsors for the cups, the drink cups that are in front of the hosts, the judges on the show. It'll have like a green room, a warm-up room where the acts hang out, and they'll have a sponsor for that. And when they get towards the end of the show and the audience calls in to pick a winner, well, they'll have a sponsor for that, like AT&T sponsors the call-in or something like that. All kinds of marketing going on, product placement type of stuff. But the real key to the show, and again, it's supposedly a talent show. There's supposedly, acts come out, hundreds, and we only see at least supposedly the very best ones and the very worst ones, because those are amusing, make it to the TV show, and the vast majority just go into the wasteland of nothingness. And both they're equally fun to see. The horrendously bad ones where the judges just go, "You're awful," or whatever, and they're just, why is this guy doing this? But the top ones that get voted on through to the next round, and pay attention if you haven't watched this before, I suggest you watch it at least. You can probably find the episodes on YouTube or Netflix or something. At least watch one of these, and go ahead and tell me if I'm wrong. But the acts that go through are, sure, they've got some talent, of course. And by the way, the reason that I'm talking about this on Throwback Thursday is a couple of nights ago we watched the show, and out came like a 10-year-old girl singing opera, and it reminded us of, about 10 years or so, another 10-year-old girl came out singing opera, and I think she finished second place in the show. She didn't win for some bizarre reason, some ridiculous act won instead, but she was clearly the most talented person on the show, and she has, done platinum record after platinum record. I remember seeing her on the July 4th show, one of my favorite shows of the year that's coming up next week, where she sang out in front of the Capitol building while the fireworks, just before the fireworks go off and all that kind of stuff. Forget her name, but a young girl from Florida, and she's probably college age now, because I think she was 9 or 10 years old, and it's been about 10 years. So out came another 10-year-old, and suddenly, this little girl is singing opera. And I was like, hey, throwback, and it reminds me of the other 10-year-old or 9-year-old or 11 or whatever she was years ago. So, but that's not really the subject of the video. I'm talking about the main thing, the main reason people get voted through, and sure, they've got some talent, but what they all have, pretty much, and the show is great at bringing it out, and you have got to be great at bringing this out for yourself in your business. And it is the story. It's the story that each contestant has. So sure, they can sing well, but unless you heard that, they were bullied all through grade school, or they were told you'll never walk again and now they're a dancer, or they were in a plane crash and told they would never, whatever, and now they're a comedian. Or, on and on and on. I broke every bone in my body being an acrobat, and now here I am daring again and being an acrobat. It's always a story of overcoming the odds, of why they're doing what they're doing, tugs at the heartstrings, completely emotional. And then you couple that with a decent enough performance, and of course the audience stands on its feet, and there isn't a dry eye in the house, and everyone's voting them through and putting them through, and like, wow. But when it really comes right down to it, if you closed your eyes and just listened to the people sing, or they just came out and danced around, or did a magic act, or whatever they do with all the different talent things, and they didn't tell the story, and the camera crew wasn't backstage or at their house with their parents telling this story, first of all, the show would be 20 minutes instead of an hour, but second of all, it just wouldn't be within 1,000 times as effective, because emotions are the key to getting people to act. So I teach this all the time, and I want to help you do it also. Go to helpfromsteve.com. We'll get on the phone and I will help you do this. The biggest objection I get, most business owners, when I ask them, what's your story? Oh, I don't have one. I'm just another plumber. I'm like, really? Well, why do you think people hire you? Well, probably because I'm the closest guy. Or, I've got the biggest ad. Or, I got a $29 trip charge. That's why. Like, yeah, okay, that possibly is why now, but that's why you're not nearly as successful as you should be. And certainly not if you got my help, because the key is I pull out a story from these people, and this is what I've done for decades, really successfully. I don't care how much the person tells me there's no story. There's no reason I do anything. There's no reason people would choose me over another because of some kind of story. Oh, Steve, forget it. I'm telling you, there is. Inside every single business owner and entrepreneur, there is at least one story, one emotional story just dying to come out that will tug at the heartstrings, or at least hit your prospects emotionally, and they will want to do business with you. You will differentiate yourself and pull yourself right out of the pack and put yourself out there as above and beyond, even if your skill as a lawyer, plumber, doctor, landscaper, whatever it is you do, not necessarily so much greater than somebody else, but when the story is great, that's what attracts the business. And bonus tip, it's not so much a story about how heroic you are and how great you are. People connect much more, and they want to connect with other people when they hear the negative side of things. And this is the real objection I hear from business owners, and this is the real reason, if this is you, when you're coming up with this excuse, you got to go to helpfromsteve.com and let me help you out to overcome this, because you're going to say, oh, I don't want to, share the case. If I'm a lawyer, I don't want to talk about the embarrassing cases I lost when I first started, or how I didn't get good grades in law school, or blah, 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 or whatever. Like, that's where people will connect. If you don't believe me, watch the America Has Talent show with Simon Cowell and whatever else judges. Well, Howie Mandel's been on there for a long time. Howard Stern was on there years ago. Jerry Springer was on there years ago. Like, now they have a pro football player, ex-pro football player being the MC, the host. He's phenomenal. Like, it's a lot of fun, but you will see every single contestant that's going to get voted through not only has some kind of a decent amount of talent, but not necessarily are they the best singer or the best dancer or the best whatever, but they have a story. And the story that usually gets them through is one where they come right out and are unafraid to share their negative. Hey, I'm coming out and the world doesn't know that I'm gay, and I'm telling people now. Or the world doesn't know that blah, 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 and I'm gonna come. I've never told anybody before how afraid I am of whatever, but I'm gonna come out and do it now. Or, oh, here's a common one. I had an audition, or I signed a record contract like 40 years ago, but then I had a kid, and life got a hold of me, and now I'm 50-something years old, and I want to go for singing again. And they're like, oh man, wow, you have a ton of talent, and Well, where you been? Like, life is giving you a second chance. And these are all the cliches that the judges will say to them as they put them through. Are they the greatest singer in the world? No. But they got that great story and it tugs at the heartstrings, and the judges just say, one of the most common lines from the judges on this show is, you're what this show is all about. That's what the show's all about. Well, what it's all about is always giving somebody who had some negative thing happen in life a second chance or a chance to shine. Somebody who has some kind of negative thing. So in your business, I am telling you, it's going to be exactly the same. When you come right out and you're unafraid and you do it the right way, you share your story, especially the tough times you had or the embarrassed thing or the tough thing that happened, and you share that, and then how you overcame it to be who you are today. People are going to hire you. I'll give you a hint. People are not looking for someone who is the greatest car mechanic or the greatest landscaper or the greatest whatever. We don't have time to find the greatest. We don't even know the criteria to find the greatest. If we are not able to fix our car ourselves, we certainly don't know what makes one mechanic better than the other. So we'll believe things like awards you have on the wall or what a neighbor tells us about how good you are. But in reality, we don't really know how great you are. But what we do know is we love your story. And, the guy, blah, 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 blah. I had a client who has now been voted like 8 or 9 or 10 years in a row the number one auto repair shop in his entire county. And last year he was voted the number one auto repair shop in the country for all of Napa. And he went on stage and got the award as the number one guy of all of Napa. John Bachman of Bachman's Auto Care in Sycamore, Illinois. One of my favorite clients ever. And his story is, he took over the business that his dad has started. That ever since he could walk, he was in the shop and he was cleaning up the shop and he was painting over the lines in the in the parking lot. He was doing whatever he could do ever since he could remember. And then eventually his dad retired and he took over the shop, and then boom, whoosh, he screwed it all up. He didn't know what was going on. People weren't coming in. He was practically going bankrupt. And to tell it, and he will actually tell it, and this is the key, he will share how he would come home and take it out on his family, and how he had thoughts of, driving off a cliff so that his family could get the insurance. He was worth more dead than alive. On and on. He was just completely, unbelievably miserable in the shop 6 days a week and still not making any money and practically, again, suicidal. Then he discovered effective marketing and advertising, and boom, the sky's the limit. He started turning things around and he started making money. And in the last few years since I've known him, he went from one share of the strip, industrial little strip that you see there. They knocked down a wall and rented out the one next door, and they went from 3 bays to 6 bays. Well, then they expanded again and knocked down another wall and went from the 6 to the 9. And now, as I speak, I think coming up sometime in the next month, they are opening a second location. And by the way, I can already tell you what's going to happen in that second location, whatever space they start out with. They're going to knock down a wall and grow again. And he's going to start another and another and another, as long as he stays motivated, because now he knows to tell his story and to build an emotional bond with his audience. And now, again, are people picking him as the number one auto repair shop in all of DeKalb County, Illinois, year after year after year after year, because somehow they know every single shop in the county and they judged his as the best? Like, of course not. Everyone voting for him just about has only gone to his shop, only goes to his shop, doesn't even know any of the other shops. The reason they vote as opposed to the customers of other auto repair shops is because John asks them to vote. He emotionally connects with them. He asks them through his newsletter, his social media, when they come into the shop, and they say, man, I'd love to, John. I'd do anything for you. Blah, blah, blah. He's connected with them emotionally. Well, the biggest way you connect is telling the negative parts of your story. If you don't believe me, watch an episode of the America Has Talent show with Simon Cowell, and you will watch people tell their story, share the negative part of it, and you will likely find yourself just like the whole audience is, all the judges is, and everyone at home being emotionally connected and rooting for that person and wanting to put them through and saying, man, you just have the greatest voice in the world as a singer, even though, of course, they've got just as good a voice as a million other people, but they've got a better story. You want to do the same thing in your business. And if you want help with that, it's one of the main things I've helped people with over the years that has changed their complete life. I can pull a story that'll draw people to you emotionally and in droves and more than ever before, and they'll be more loyal than ever before, and they will refer more people than ever before. You'll make more money with less stress, with less work. You'll have more fun. That's what business is all about. If you ask me, you go to helpfromsteve.com. Let me help you do that. If not, I couldn't urge you more enough to do it on your own, yourself. And that'll take care of Throwback Thursday, as the sun is now almost fully set behind me. That'll do it for today. I don't see any questions coming up. As always, if you want to interact live and ask questions or share anything, you go to my Facebook business page. Wherever you're watching this, that's where I record them live. I have every single day since the middle of March 2 years ago. And that is facebook.com/smallbizhelp, B-I-Z. And I'd love to interact with you there. Otherwise, I love the fact you're watching here. Thank you very much. That'll do it for today, and I will catch you back here again tomorrow on Foundation Friday. I have a foundational business building tip for you tomorrow. That is something that came up this week, and I just have to share it with you tomorrow, and I hope you'll be with me live at facebook.com/smallbizhelp, and if not, at least watching on a replay or listening somewhere. Catch you then. Over and out. Bye-bye.